All right, this video is going to walk you through how to set up your page in your sketchbook in order to be ready to do the oil pastel technique sheet or practice. So when we're finished, it is going to look something like this. We're going to have shapes that are going to have warm and cool colors. We're going to have mixed flat colors. We're going to have transitions. We're going to have more transitions and more transitions, and then sgraffito. So I'm going to have you go ahead and turn your sketchbook sideways. And as you are working in this or on this with this video, if you want to pause it to complete the step before going on, go ahead. So number one, we're going to label the page Oil Pastel Practice. I always like to put the date. That will kind of help me just organize things. And then what I want you to do is I want you to write these three terms, 1, 2, 3. Opaque, and which means solid, not see-through. Blending, so we're going to talk about blending to make those transitions. And then neat edges. These are actually the three things you're going to be graded on this assignment as you learn to use the correct techniques. So these are our main terms that we want to keep in mind. So number one, spot right over here. Number one, flat colors. So I actually recommend you do this in a marker. That way the oil pastels don't actually mix with a pencil or pen. So you're going to name or label one side warm, one side cool. And then I actually recommend that you use shapes that have straight edges. Now you don't have to use a ruler to draw them. The other thing I recommend is that each one of these shapes is about the size of a quarter. So I wouldn't make it much smaller than that. It's actually going to be more difficult. So under this warm column, I have 3 shapes, and then I am going to make 3 shapes under the cool column. Now, if you want those 3 shapes to be squares, you can. Triangles, stars, rectangles, anything about the size of a quarter. All right, number 2 area. We are going to label this flat mixed colors. So for this, all you have to do is make 2 boxes. These are a little bit larger than the ones that we did over there for the warm and cool. Number 3 is 2 to 3 color transition. And I have to put in here smooth. You're going to make a long rectangle that's going to give you time and space to blend and overlap. Number 4, we have 2 to 3 color transition. This one is going to be textural. Again, same box. Number 5. So this was actually the tricky one to draw. We're going to go down here, and we are going to label this ribbon transition. Now I want you to watch how I do this before you do it yourself. You might find it helpful, or it might be a good idea to do this in pencil first, but we're going to make a ribbon across this area, and it's going to look like it's folding back on itself. So if you follow along here with me after I do this, you can rewind it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with kind of, notice this line kind of curves and angles up. Then I'm going to kind of make a gentle or like an S. And again, it's going to go at an angle up. And I'm going to curve back and forth and then finish. So that is going to be the top edge of my ribbon. How thick is the ribbon? I'm going to place vertical lines at the outer edge of each curve and at the beginning and the end. Now you want these to be all about the same size or length. And now I am going to draw a line to echo the top. So this line right here is echoed right here. Now what happens here is that this part of the ribbon would go behind this part. If I were to continue it, it would match up there. So this section is going to echo that line. Notice how that curves down here. So once you draw your lines in your ribbon, go ahead and go over it with Sharpie. So this is the first time I think that we're actually dealing with this idea of making realistic form or making something look three-dimensional. And we're going to be using transitions to do that. All right, the last area we have right here. This is kind of a funny term, but it's called sgraffito. So again, you can make two boxes, a box and a circle. You're gonna have two shapes over here. So that is the setup. Oil pastel practice, opaque solid, blending, neat edges. We have an area for warm and cool colors, flat mixed colors, 2 to 3 color smooth transition, 2 to 3 color textural transition, ribbon transition, and then sgraffito. So when that is finished, go ahead and start to gather your oil pastel supplies. You will need your oil pastel set. You will need a paper towel. And if you have access to something like a toothpick, that is great. Otherwise, you could use the end of a paintbrush or like a dowel rod. We'll see what that looks like in the next video.